A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Do not forget to subscribe. Today we're going back into the world of citrus washes, something we've explored reasonably extensively. You guys have told me I need to take a look at this Cant concentrated citrus wash. Now this product cost me £12.13 plus VAT, which makes it about £16.50 for 5 litres of concentrate. It's not full up because I've decanted some to mix it out ready for this video. So first of all, what is a citrus cleaner? Because there is variation. So typically a citrus cleaner is a blend of surfactant and water and limonene, which is a terpene, I think is how you describe it. Like an orange oil, an organic solvent that has a good dissolving effect on things that the surfactants can't emulsify, like tar, like bugs, perhaps even some adhesives and things. It has a dissolving effect. So it's typically a blend of surfactants and limonene. What makes a good citrus as opposed to a bad one? A high limonene content. Limonene is an expensive chemical. A litre of it's probably going to cost you more than £10 of raw limonene, something like that. Now, what can make a bad citrus is very little limonene and other sort of derivatives like citral, which is a lemon skin derivative, and linalool, which is a cheaper form of terpene kind of solvent, if you like, and less limonene. And they can also add into the blend caustic materials so that you can get a good hit from the caustic kind of chemicals which attack solid kind of contamination as well. So a cheaper limonene could be a lot more surfactant and caustic material and less limonene, and a higher quality one you'd expect would be more limonene, less caustic materials, perhaps milder, higher quality surfactants. So there's a good preamble. So I want this to be cheap, but I want it also to be reasonably good quality. The price is absolutely spot on. To give you an example of prices, 2 other products which I really recommend. The Crystal Clean Detail won my best citrus wash, and it costs £33 back then for 5 litres. That is available, but I think it costs £47.99 for 5 litres now. That's a citrus concentrate, very effective at low concentrations. Another one that was on the podium was the Stannagloss Forced X, which I think you can only buy a litre of for 16 quid, and you have to dilute it 1:1. So it's not a high concentrate, but both of these are what I would call high quality citruses. There's another one here that I've got that I'm going to use for demo purposes, which is the Gion Tar. This is a high quality citrus, but it's ready to go, and you can't get the value for money out of it when it's a ready to use formulation. It's 100 quid for 4 litres, which is very expensive. Now, we will talk a little bit more about kind of all that price and stuff a little bit further on. So we know what a citrus is now. We know what you use it for. Bugs, tar, that sort of stuff. General purpose degreasing. For stuff that cannot always be easily emulsified by surfactants. Now let's just go and have a look at the product blurb, because that's important. So concentrated citrus wash is a highly concentrated pre-wash cleaner. Is gentle on surfaces when diluted in use. Its citrus-based formulation degreases and cleans in one application to effectively remove flies, traffic film, general dirt from vehicle bodywork and engines. Yeah, brilliant. Good description. How do we use it? We pre-dilute with water. We'll see the dilution ratios down there. Apply the solution by low pressure spray. Leave to dwell, then rinse off. Do not allow to dry on the surface. Do not use in direct sunlight. Extra care must be taken in warm temperatures. Ensure testing has been performed, etc. Very professional instructions. There's your dilution guide. So heavy soiling 1:1, medium soiling 4:1, light soiling 8:1. Now here's something that's really important, is the list of ingredients. And I did request SDS for this and got the SDS and had a look, but it doesn't tell you too much more about what beyond what they already tell you here. They list the ingredients. So the first thing is it's got sodium hydroxide in it, which is a material that's a caustic soda. Well, it's caustic soda. That is a very caustic material that's used in quite a few detailing products because it gives you a bit of bite. I believe in the SDS it's at less than 1% ratio, so there's not a lot in there. You don't need to panic, but it's a product that, it's a material that I generally don't want to use on my cars, but it has a purpose, especially in the trade if you're dealing with really dirty kind of vehicles and you need that caustic kick. Other than that, it's got ethoxylated alcohols, alko-aminopropyl betaine, which I think is a foaming agent, tetrasodium, another surfactant, sodium-based surfactant, surfactants, you know, scents. And then right at the end, if you're following down to the bottom there, right in the middle of the screen now, you can see limonene and linalool. So linalool is another kind of terpene derivative like citral, but linalool and citral are cheaper forms of that, and it's the limonene that's important. I don't know how much limonene is in this because it's not a harmful material that gets flagged up on the SDS unless you have certain amounts. I don't know the criteria for what it needs to be at before it flags and they give you the content of the limonene. I will say from opening it up and looking at the material, it has an oily feel to it. So I'm reasonably satisfied that it's not just surfactants and citral and linalool, that there's a good amount of limonene in here. But this is where we need to put it to the test. Now, going back to our comparisons, this Gion tar product is 30 to 35% limonene. It's also got, I think, kerosene there on it. Probably low odor kerosene. So this product is almost more like spraying an oil onto the surface rather than a kind of foamy, watery surfactant. So this is loaded with limonene, and I'm expecting that to have a good impact on the tar film. Over here I've got another citrus, which is just a water-based one that's probably quite similar, and it will just give us something to compare to. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go straight onto our test panel with this, and I've got this mixed up at its strongest ratio. Forgive the light flashing, that's always bugs me. And we're going to try on this tar film. Now this isn't cross comparable to other tests because this is a fresh blend of my tar simulator, which might be a bit thicker and stronger and not have exactly the same dwell time as the other one. So it's not cross comparable, but we can compare these three products and how they perform. And it is dry now, this, so it's really just a film of tar. We'll put this on. I've got a little raised edge to stop it cross contaminating, and we'll spray away. Let's just get this going. Give it a good shake. We'll give it make sure we flood it. So all of that surface now has this chemical acting on it. We'll take this one, which is mixed down at a similar sort of ratio. And actually it's not, this is mixed down at a slightly lower ratio. This is 1 to 1. I think this is about 1 to 5. We just need to wet out the surface. Let me just tighten that up so we get a bit more spray going on. As long as we wet it out, doesn't really matter how much. Right, there we go. And then we'll take this one, put that on there. You can see the lack of like foam and surfactant with this. But I can see straight away, there's a difference in potency. Doesn't surprise me actually. Right, we'll give those about a minute to dwell like you would be. If it's not in the sun, it's fine. We'll give those a minute to dwell and we'll see the different impacts. We'll make sure they don't dry. Now, so here's the thing that I find interesting with all this, is that when you're down at this milder end of what you're going to use a citrus for, like bug splatter and stuff like that, you're getting into the realms that if you pre-soak out your car with an all-purpose cleaner, let it sit there and soak and pressure wash it, and then take a gentle soft tip brush, the difference really between a citrus and an all-purpose cleaner is hard to notice. You notice the difference when you're trying to remove tar film after a track day, that a surfactant won't touch. Even a powerful surfactant like Surfex HD might not touch tar film because it can't emulsify it. And then sometimes a good citrus or a good adhesive remover is required to get that off. So you've got two ends of the scale. Down at this end, if you're just using them for bugs and stuff, unless you live in a real bug-tastic area, then most of the times you can get away with just APC and a soft brush. But if you're down here in this area where you've got a constant tar film problem, like you're tracking your car, you can argue that a dedicated tar and glue remover, for example, this is Koch Chemie EU. This is almost like a solvent. Well, I think it is a solvent. It's a bit more like TARDIS. They're heavy duty products that go on, dissolve the tar film instantly, and then you wipe them off or rinse them off because TARDIS, for example, has emulsifiers. So they're a lot more powerful than citrus cleaners. The downside is with these dedicated tar and glue removers that maybe hydrocarbon, whatever, not surfactant and limonene based, is you need to be careful with dwell times. You need to be mega careful in the sun, and you do not get them anywhere other than on the panels of your car really, and then you get them off. So you spot treat with them almost. Like if that was covered in tar, I could load up my cloth, mist a bit onto the panel closely, wipe it all down, break off the tar film. If there's any more, go again, work panel by panel. Don't just spray it all over and kind of leave it and it'll bake dry, because you will potentially damage plastics and stuff like that, potentially, but you'll save a lot of time. So that's a really useful bit of information. There may not be a need for citruses for lots of you, but I kind of like them. So let's just go back over here now, and we're gonna free rinse off. I can already see that. Let's just get a little bit of power there. I can already see that this one's gonna rinse it off, isn't it, quite easily. So let's go with this one first. Yeah, I mean that's just, you can see all the hydrophobicity as well from the limonene. It repels water. So we'll have a look at this middle one, which is just a kind of sort of standard citrus. So it hasn't really touched the tar film. And then this one. Yeah, it hasn't really touched the tar film. Well, maybe a little bit more with that one. So when I tested the tar film on all of those true citruses back in that citrus test, I think only 2 or 3 of them had any effect on the tar film. The Stanogloss Forced ripped through that tar film, and that's a similar type of product, very high quality but high cost. The Crystal Clean Detail started breaking down that citrus even at 2%, which was crazy. It was a lighter film than that though. It was a lighter film. So the reason I'm making this point is it all ties back into what we kind of already knew, that these are kind of milder degreasers when they're surfactant and limonene blends. That mild thing is okay, but it depends what you're trying to use the product for. So even with agitation, you see it's nice and foamy. It's not having any impact on this tar film. Now, let me just get that other one. I'm not too worried at this stage about cross-contamination. I should clean this off really. Let's just give it a little rinse. Hold on. Ugh. I don't think this is going to make any difference. So they've all had their dwell time, but I think I could leave these chemicals on here for 5-10 minutes, but the problem is they're not strong enough to emulsify that tar film. So what I'm learning really is that this is more a milder concentrated, a milder concentrated citrus that isn't as kind of potent. And let me just rinse this off, and I just want to show you the difference. Bits of it are starting to come up. More bits of this piece are coming up than that side. But if we take another dedicated adhesive remover, whatever, I think it's a tar and glue remover by name, and we just spray that on, you can already see that as soon as it hits it, it's dispersing it. I'm not sure if this is free rinseable. I don't think that has any emulsifiers in it. I can't remember. I don't want to get my brush covered in tar. But we'll try and power rinse it. I don't really want to touch this stuff because it's quite strong. But you can just see it just destroys. It just melts the tar off. Get that off my finger. We'll rinse it off. We'll go this way. Yeah, it's not easily emulsified, so you can see it rejecting the water. You can still give it a rinse. So if you imagine you had all track rubber on your car, you could put that on there and then wipe it. Now we've rinsed it, it solidifies instantly, doesn't it? So if you want to get it off with this, you'd be spraying it into your cloth or spraying it on. You wouldn't want that water there, you'd probably do this dry. And you'd be taking a microfiber cloth and like getting off the tar film. Like that. Yeah, and then it's effective. Yeah, very effective. I'm going to destroy my cloth. Yeah, so I've learned all I need to know really about the Cant product. So if I put my dirt simulator on there, which is not tar, the Cant product will be able to emulsify it and soften it because it's in that range of what it's probably designed to clean. It's not aggressive enough to impact that tar film. What I'm looking for really is a citrus cleaner that can, and there are a few on the market. Okay, that one, I mean, just absolutely aced it. That is strong stuff, and I've used it on track rubber before. Here's my dilemma, guys. Here's my dilemma. That all three of these high quality products, the KKD, the Forced X, and the Geon, all three of them cost more than I want to spend on citrus cleaners, but all three of them are very good. So £100 for 4 litres, £16 for 1 litre that you can dilute 1-to-1, or £47.99 for one that is effective at lower concentration ratio. So still probably the best proposition out of all three of those is still the KKD Citrus Magic. But both of these very, very good. The conclusion, and you can see because I've written this before I've even done this, is what I want is a surfactanty, limonene heavy citrus that's a concentrate that costs no more than £30 for 5 litres. And the problem is I don't think it's out there because of the chemical cost of limonene. So this particular Cant product is an example of a milder concentrate that won't be effective on heavy tar films and rubber, from what I've seen, but will be a general purpose citrus-based degreaser, and it will help you get bugs off. It will foam up under the brush. it will degrease engine bays, it will probably be a decent wheel cleaner, and it's basically as cheap as anything. Sorry, need to wipe my nose. But the Cant product, what is this competing with? Really, for me, this is competing with Wholesale, which you can get, which is a industrial citrus-based general purpose cleaner you can use to clean floors with, that also contains a tiny amount of limonene, contains a tiny amount of sodium hydroxide, and it's a blend of other surfactants, and you can get between 12 and 15 quid for 5 litres. The same thing. It also competes with the Cant when they do their sale on their citrus, and they've got a yellowy citrus, which again is a similar thing to this. It's very affordable, but it's not that top end of market where they're turbocharged, but they're very expensive. So that's where I am with this. The quest continues. If you think that there is a citrus cleaner out there that fulfills my brief as being as good as the Gloss, the Citrus Magic, all that Geon one, but is a concentrate and is less than or no more than 30 quid for 5 litres, let me know. But what I want you to do before you just put that comment in there is find out how much limonene is in it first, and find out if it's got any caustic material in it. Because ideally, I don't want sodium hydroxide. I want more than 25% limonene in there, and I want 30 or less quid. It may not exist, and if it doesn't, for me, I might move into the category, because I'm less worried about bugs. I'm more worried about tar, that I don't have a citrus, because a really high quality citrus may just not be financially viable now as a chemical for me. And the way that I'll do it is I'll just have a general purpose APC for normal forms of degreasing, which is affordable, and there's loads of choice. And then when I have a tar and glue issue, I'll use Autosmart TARDIS, and I'll target the rubber, and I'll wash the car off first, pre-wash probably, wash it, put the Autosmart on any surface where there's rubber, track rubber, let it dissolve, wipe it off, go around the car, do all that, rinse off, and it's done. And you're not flooding the chemical like a detergent, you're just spot treating, almost panel treating. So that 5 litres of Autosmart TARDIS works a long way. That might not be the best solution for all of you if you want a citrus cleaner. So that's delving into more the tar and glue end, the extreme horsepower end. I will say though, that Geon product is impressively powerful. Rubber's even harder to remove than that tar simulator. That tar simulator will break down with the right chemical. Rubber really needs strong horsepower, and TARDIS is really good on the rubber, but it's got stuff like xylene in it, which are probably, even more, you need to be even more careful with something with xylene in it than something with sodium hydroxide. So yeah, hopefully this video, even though it doesn't have the exact answers, has been useful to you. This Cant product is an absolute, this Cant product is an absolute bargain. It's a reasonable benchmark in what a foaming citrus degreaser should be, but it's not in my opinion, it's not a real premium turbocharged, oily. You can feel the oiliness. This stuff, when you spray it out in the car, your car starts all beading up, and eventually that beading disappears as you pressure wash it, because it's all of like the odorless kerosene and the limonene makes this product less surfactanty and more like orange oil, so it is loaded, but it's beyond what I'll pay. And you go through it as well quite rapidly. So yeah, this is, sometimes when we do these videos, we don't have a magic answer, because I'm sort of in the camp that I'll probably go down the APC route and a dedicated, hardcore, heavy duty, be careful, industrial tar and glue remover with emulsifiers in it, so I can rinse as well. And I'll just use it carefully, and I won't use it unless I have to. It will probably, a product like TARDIS would probably never see a car like this because it's always kept washed, it's always nice. If I ragged around in this all year and didn't clean it, it would probably have a tar film on it that would need to be clayed off, and then TARDIS might see this car. But you get the idea. You get the idea. Very interesting. I mean, the last Cant product we looked at was their Cherry Burst shampoo, which was £7 plus VAT. And for me, that was just a home run product. For that sort of money, it was a high concentrated product. Yes, it's a very mild surfactant, so it hasn't got to do anything clever apart from be foamy and slidey. It doesn't need much cleaning power. But at £7 plus VAT, say £8.50 or whatever for 5 litres, usable up to 1 to 1500, that product is something that you could buy and it just gives you phenomenal value. Whereas this product you can buy, it gives you phenomenal value, but it's not quite doing it for me for all of the reasons I said. What I was hoping from this Cant product was it'd be oily and rich, and I can feel all the oiliness, and it will go onto that tar and it will melt it off, and it will still be quite foamy with it, and it will be free rinseable, more like a surfactant limonene citrus, but it will still have an impact on the tar. And it may well exist, because I promise you, if I did this test and I had the Forced X, and I spray it on, that will, as soon as it hits that tar film, you start to see it shift it. So it does exist. So there is premium, expensive, tons of limonene performance. There's good value, but perhaps less limonene grunt. There we go. Interesting video. I've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. Over and out. Doug.